Ooh, alright, welcome to the Saturday Super Series Meal on Board series. Right now I'm in 9th place. GT3s were supposed to all, ditch into the pits after 10 minutes qualifying. Some haven't. Might affect our position. It wasn't a rule, it was like a gentleman's agreement. And some people didn't go with it. Is what it is. I think, because I have a new setup now, I'm back to using the wireless headset, which I had not previously used, because there were some signal problems. I'm hoping the shifting of the room and whatever has led to a fix on that. But that may mean that you can't hear Discord. I don't know, because the headset divides things into a game channel and a chat channel, and Discord is on the chat channel, and OBS may just be taking the game channel. So that'll be interesting. You guys will hear me respond to questions that you can't hear. Probably hear me typing because we're having some problems coordinating some recording stuff. It is what it is. Marinowski way ahead. A couple other Polish guys and Andy Anderson and Sean Kenny fighting out for podiums. And then kind of the group that we might be able to keep up with, or I might be able to keep up with, is Martin, Alwyn SV, Fernandez, and then below me be like Krookie, Merchant, surprisingly Eugenie? Javier Eugenie and Glixer, who I was going up against in the practice server, and Glixer was kicking my butt, but has not. Maybe he was running qualifying times and I wasn't. That could be it. So the rules here in general, it's a 60-minute race. We'll have one mandatory pit stop for fuel. And that's really about it. It is 5 in the morning again, but it is not nighttime, which is interesting. We've got sunlight out here, so that'll be fun. Chargers. Anyway, we can slow down the qualifying session here. We've got a time gap now to Tier 3 somehow. I have no idea how that happened. Don't know how the gap opened up, because we were at 20 seconds and now we're at 2 minutes somehow in the changeover to qualifying. That would do it. That would do it. We didn't use up our full waiting period. They did, probably. That would do it. So what I'll probably have to do for the future is just make sure we go through the full waiting period. That could do it too. Well, what are we going to do for this time? Because I'm going to be starting from the pits again at this rate. Always a bit of pain in the arse. You are going to hear my cherry squeak when I get up to go over to hit record on, or to hit some things on the other computer. So my apologies for that, but I wanted I don't know why. I really actually shouldn't have. I just shouldn't have started the recording. That probably is the answer. But at this point, I don't want to go through the intro again. Let's see here. Having to stick my head way over here. Yeah, they are like over 2 minutes ahead of us. This is not good. Frustration. Also, I noticed that Max Simmons is rocking one of the mid-engine cars in the Tier 3. Probably how he ended up in Tier 3, because that's the one that's been mind-boggling, because Max Simmons is usually faster than I am. The fact that he's a tier lower than me is confusing at the least. So I'm looking at Martin and Fernandez as my people to destroy, because they're not doing the gentlemanly thing and having gotten their staying out late. So fuel-wise, let's talk about the fuel. I'm going with 65 liters to start, and I'll put 40 in at the pit stop for 105 in total. Calculations are about 101, 102. That will do it. Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to move into race. Yep, their race session has started. No, we're all good. I'm recording their end now, so we're gravy. Two PCs. Two PCs, two game copies. There we go. For anyone interested, Tier 3's pole sitter is Max Simmons. I think he picked a car that he doesn't know how to drive. I mean, it's not sandbagging if you pick a car that you don't know how to drive. That just means you're going for a challenge. I didn't see the gap. It'll be on the recording though, so there we'll find out when I do the commentary. Da, 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 da. There's the fuel strategy there, 65. I'll bump this up to tire set 10. And then this is my damage pit stop, just in case I need that. And then the wet and the dry. That'll be interesting if it does rain. We just had a really... That's like medium rain, that symbol there. The light rain's just the dots. That one's the full lines, but it's not heavy. Yeah, you'll be able to see more of the forecast as it goes on. Alright. Tier 3 is underway, so I can now focus on my race. Just listening to the pre-race chat. A top 10 would be nice. A top 10 would be the goal here today. Turn my engine map down to save a little fuel. And here we go. This is with the RWB series. Well, RWB Community, and Gixxer is the guy I'm following. I'll turn the engine up once we get through Casio. Because also just for like safety purposes, I don't really want to go super fast. Casio is going to be one of the tricky areas. It's the area where I like have probably the most delta from my Can we get green? Come on, green. It took a long time. Somebody was thinking about a dive there.
Clear on the right. Car on the right.
Give myself a little bit extra traction control for the S's.
Clear on the right.
Yes, I will be flipping traction controls this race, something I usually don't do because I usually find it counterproductive. It's a sign of me being a bad driver. So behind Gixxer's Porsche. I'm shown in 12th, but should be 10th, I think. Through the Degnas. Up to... Whoa. They got very slow there.
Car on the right.
Somebody coming around my outside. A couple Lexuses behind me. Merchant and Crookie. I've raced with Daniel Merchant before. Former ESR guy who's not been around in a while. I think he just had a time zone issue more than anything else. Oh, Gixxer's off. I had a little bit of a squeal there. Track is optimum. Expecting some light rain at 10 minutes. That we'll just have to drive through. The question is more at that 30-minute mark, what is that going to look like? So up 1 through lap 1. Pace guide today is I'm looking to be in like the 202s. Won't be for that lap, obviously, because it's the first lap. Which means lap 1, the way the game handles you being in the pit lane means that your first lap is going to be shit kind of regardless. And number 2, our first corner was all kinds of messed up by the traffic, which everyone else also had to deal with to a certain degree outside the front row. So this is a GT4. This is a multi-class race with GT4s, by the way. So we will be lapping some people. One would hope, anyways. If we don't, then things have gone terribly wrong. Forgot to turn my traction control down there for the done lap. Of course, may just turn the traction control up later as it gets wet, because it does look like we'll have a greasy track at some point. And that might work out for my advantage, because we just did the 3D speed race earlier this week where things were very greasy. So I am, for lack of a better term, ready for the grease. Technically speaking, I should actually turn the traction control way down here for 130R, which is this turn coming up, but is what it is. Right front looks like it might need a pressure adjustment for the pit stop. That'll be something we'll check out on. Should be a little too high up there on the traction control for Casio. And everyone else ahead of Allswin is kind of gone. What do we do this time? 2027, not bad. If I could be in the 202s all day, I'll be exceedingly happy, regardless of where that puts me, because, I mean, the thing is that when you're racing, you're effectively racing against yourself. If you can meet your own goals and pace expectations, it doesn't really matter if that's a win or if that's 20th place. You went out and you did your thing. It's just the strength of the field was, you know, either a little too much or a little too little for you, depending on how it looks. And of course, problem with this particular series is that the tiering process was very, very wide open. Like, you got guys like Marinowski, who's going to probably check out at the front of this field, in with guys like me. That's not really in the same ballpark. Also, you know, also another problem is just that we probably have more of a tier 1 than a tier 2. Tends to be how it is. You either get, like, people who are quite bad or quite new. And, you know, we were all there, so that's not trying to be insulting to anybody. And then on the other hand, you get, I wonder if I should use higher traction control through spoon. Might actually be something to look at. So that's definitely been a bit of a problem corner. We'll try that next lap. Went up a little too high again. Find traction preset 5. Although, that went pretty well, actually. So, maybe it is right. Although I find traction preset 5 does slow me down too much. Low 201's up ahead of me. I'm also in the low 201, or 202s. Pardon me. So, we're doing well. Still have Crookie on my back, but the other Tech 1 Lexus of Merchant has disappeared, as well as Gixxer. Gixxer, I think, will be back at some point, probably. Ooh, Allwins gets a little bit wide there. In his fight with Fernandez, who I want to say was on the podium at Nürburgring. Can't remember. Nürburgring was a complete disaster for me. I didn't upload it because I ended up not really racing anybody because, well, you guys saw the we'll put it this way, the discussion that was had here in the lead up about getting Tier 3's recording configured properly. Basically, same thing happened at Nürburgring, only we didn't think of a way to fix it. Oh, I forgot to turn the traction control up. You can see the car definitely bucks through there, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. This lap will be pretty poor, although I had to slow down to avoid hitting all winds kind of twice on this lap. Yes. He seems to be a little bit off his groove after whatever happened with Fernandez and him. So this lap will be in the 203s. It's just not really anything that can be done about that. My knowledge of any of the guys I'm racing against is very low. They're not ESR guys, they are RWB guys. There are some very familiar faces in the field. Andrew Anderson up a couple spots, for example. It is very familiar to me. Can I get him?
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
I could have pushed the issue there, but it's a long race. And I feel like that would have just been a little bit much. Although his run into hairpin is not good. And this is letting Crookie get all over our back end. So I may have to be a little bit pushy. Because there are definitely some turns where he is not very fast. That made it worse, actually, if anything. Oh, boy. Okay, so forget that idea. Hopefully the volume controls here are correct because I am dealing with a new audio device. So, hopefully this video gets uploaded because, you know, this is looking like a fun race. I got Crookie right on my butt. And Allswin and Fernandez are not gone at all. Is Mershon even throughout all this is just more or less pacing us, so I don't think he's really in this. There's a really exaggerated hand movement for the traction control change. I have made this car a little bit bad when it comes to curbs with some of my my changes to get it a little bit pointier. So there's that. And the lefts are a little bit overpressurized. I was worried about the right front earlier. The tires I'm talking about. But it looks okay now. Man, I just cannot get a good run through through Spoon. Track has dropped down to fast from optimum. See what I mean through Casio? Casio and Spoon are the two trouble areas. Everywhere else is... I'm pretty happy. Oh, we got rain. I'm going to leave it in TC4 then for the lap. See how the rain pans out. No pit stop thought at this point because, I mean, we don't even have enough to trigger the wipers yet, which are on auto. Although I have made the choice to map some buttons to the lights and the wipers, just in case a series I do doesn't allow for auto. Which I think is a little ridiculous, because I think that's a level of realism that just isn't really a thing. Like, real-life cars have auto-sensing lights, wipers, and so on. I know race cars don't, but that's to save weight. I mean, I guess the thing that I've always kind of had as a problem with like the hunt for realism is, I mean, if this were real life, I'd also have like 100 people working on my car, and I wouldn't have to come up with the setup on my own with like a little bit of input from maybe a friend or two, like, or I could, you know, buy one or whatever. But like, there we go. All right, so it is wet enough to warrant the wiper going. Obviously going to slow lap times down as tire pressure will be a little bit lower. Grip levels will be a problem. Throttle application a little bit more tender. Hopefully faster than that lap, though. That lap was not good. Let's see. Well, maybe not that bad. It's a half second slower than Allswind, though. And Crookie is gaining on me. I wonder if we'll see anyone dive in early on the pit stop. Because a lot of people don't know the wet tire dynamics in this game. Like, they require a fair amount of actual water to work properly. And it's far, far more than what we got here. Anderson's not too far up the road. He's kind of like my guideline, because I know him. Don't really know Allswin or Fernandez or Crookie. Like, are these drivers I should be fighting with? Or are these guys that are in a completely different league? Whereas I know Anderson is like that slightly higher league. Oh, Spoon is going to be a nightmare. We'll have some GT4 traffic upcoming. We are supposed to be fairly gentle with the GT4s, which I agree with. I think a lot of people in the upper classes get away with basically murder sometimes with how they handle blue flags. About the same pace as Allwin that time, but Fernandez is getting away. Need more traction control. She's slipping and sliding all over the place right now. We're at Greasy. Callum rusting up the road. He is kind of non-responsive to admin requests in practice, which is a little concerning.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Honestly, that was kind of not really what I would have liked that blue flag to be cleared under. He kind of slowed up on the line. Oh,
Clear on the left.
that damaged the car a little bit. I think that was a late lunge by Crookie, my personal opinion. I'll have to look at it later for any, like, stewarding action. Didn't take advantage of it, though, so I don't know. Not a big deal. RWB seems to be big on, like, the gentleman rule, which is fine with me. But if he does it again, then I'm gonna have a problem. Because, like, the thing is like, if you don't stop doing, like, here's my thoughts on stewarding, and it's shared by the ESR head steward, Jack Hunvikson. Stewarding's not necessarily there to right a wrong, because the wrong is done. If he gets a penalty now, then, like, is that going to restore my rear end to its full levels of comfort? Basically, the answer is largely no. Stewarding is meant to keep the same thing from happening twice, to educate things. He waited. He didn't take advantage of it. He could have. I appreciate that. Although, yeah, the rears are really struggling now to find heat. But it is still probably dry weather right now. Like, this would be like intermediates if, like, they were in the game. Checking out the... So the pit window is open. I could dive now for wets. But I'm thinking the wets would be a mistake right now, because you can see that my fronts still have good temperature in them. The wets are going to burn up right now, so unfortunately I'm just gonna have to deal with it for a little bit to make the optimal play here, I think. Like, I'm keeping it on. Yeah, there's problems at Spoon, but there were problems at Spoon the whole time. I'm going to turn up the traction control to 6, though. Kelleher and Herbie. Oh, so some people disagree with me. I see Martin Edmonds in the pits. I see V. Martin in the... Oh. Okay, if I hit Kelleher there, I don't really care, because I feel like he, like, that was a blue flag and he came across to almost hit me. It is really slippery here, though, so I'm just gonna... Don't worry about things, Herbie. I'm willing to be patient. There we go.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Got a little bit wide at Dunlop, and we're through. It's nasty out. And it is going to get worse. Like, there is no question that I'm changing onto wets at the pit stop. It's just, I don't want to do it yet. If I can get away with it. Pulling up my pit stop menu here. Yeah, it's still 24-degree track. That's too warm for the wets. getting close, though. Won't be much longer. Somebody else has bit the bullet and pitted. So that's at least 2 of the cars ahead of me who have gone for the pit stop. Oh, this is gonna be terrible. Yeah, that's gonna let... Oh, you didn't go for it. Okay. I was like, I'm sure I'm gonna lose a spot there to... Oh, Crookie. Oh, the back end. The back end is terrible. We're going full traction control. Try and stabilize this bitch. Charger, Flak, and Day. That probably helped us out a little bit. And for a change, I do mean us, because that let Crookie through, too. This is where having an actual pit crew team would be great, because they could say, like, oh, the person who went on wets is doing terribly or something. And it would reassure me that I'm actually doing the right thing here. Like, Crookie, I would like to let you have that inside line a little bit, but we kind of have that car to clear. Plenty of people are still out here on dries. I need a little more water on the track. Like, that's kind of the problem. Like, this is the problem with, like, lighter rain. I, like, need it to rain more. Like, just get this to a wet track quicker. Also have no idea what we're looking at for fuel usage here. So all wins is about 10 seconds up the road. I've gotten somewhat unlucky with some of the traffic, but 10 seconds or 20 seconds stop go for car 7. Don't know who that is, of course. I hope it's the dude who took pole in the GT3 category, because otherwise he just has nothing to do. He was so far out ahead. Yeah, I'm losing like 2 seconds a lap. That all wins. Let's turn the traction control down a little bit and try another lap. It's bad out here. I don't know about track cut, but okay. I suppose 130R would have, like, pretty considerable, like, limits. Because it would be really easy to gain time through there.
Losing time to the car in front in sector 2.
I'm just remembering our Barcelona test race that got aborted because we thought it'd be wet. We thought the wet was enough, or we thought it'd be wet tires, and then it really wasn't wet tires. But we're very much getting to that point here. I think this is the last lap. I'm going to brave it out here on the dries. Yep, there's the call. Wet tire is optimal. So you do get some help from the game at least, but... catching up to Allwins now, so he's having a rougher lap than I am. I'm having a much better lap than last time. Oh! I have to let 2 more cars through. Gixer and Javier Eugeni. Probably should have let the other person here through. Reynolds. So that's no good. Probably stayed out too long, but I don't know. We're just now into like a proper wet track. It's like... and of course you're trying to get it done with 1 pit stop, right? So you don't want to commit too early. Anyways, that's 11th place now, and that's with a bunch of people who pitted behind me, so... we are definitely outside of the top 10, which was the goal today.
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
More than enough fuel. There we go. I think I'm near the front. So, wet preset coming in. A little bit of damage repair. We'll go 35 liters, which probably is more than enough. We did, after all, only use up about 45 there, so this puts us with like 9 liters too many, and in the wet, probably, to be honest. So car 7 is still circulating. Alright, back on. We'll try 6 trash control and probably go down as time goes on. So down to 16th in theory. Might be a little bit higher than that. Might be still someone to pit that'll let us in front of them.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
It's a little bit rude by me to take it there, but it seems like Day is tiptoeing around, so he's definitely not comfortable. So here's the problem, there's actually a little bit of a dry line still going on. So, nonetheless, definitely not dry weather. You can see the heat's already collecting in the tires, though. even with this being optimal wet tire weather, you can see the heat creeping. That left front's a little bit hot. They're not going to last a terribly long time. Grip's not going to be good still. And that is Zach Morgan fighting with Reynolds. That seemed a little bit too heated for a blue flag, but they've sorted it out. Zach Morgan, the newest addition to the 3D Speed group as series is. You can see the tires are so warm right now. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some serious graining and blistering. Picked up 2 spots, so apparently I wasn't the last one to pit. And somebody still has a stop-go.
There's a slow car ahead.
White flag out. Stop-go has been served by car number 7. Whoever that is. This were the 3D Speed series or Sunday, I'd actually be able to tell you who that is. By the way, Sunday ACC coming up, and also the Enduro today. So, if you're watching this, the Enduro's probably up. Go check that out after this. This is the only place I feel comfortable using a first gear.
Car on the right.
And even that might be a slight mistake. So 9 seconds behind Merchant. Wilk is also ahead of me. So I'm 9 seconds from... there's somebody else before the top 10 comes up. Pit window is still open, so there might be someone still going in these on dry tires here. And that might still be a spot for me. Ooh, Reynolds braking hard there. Can't blame him. God knows how this track feels to him. He's also staying off in the wet, which is a pretty decent idea. You see, like, we're 10 seconds slower a lap than we were in the dry. Largely because we've gone from having a dry setup that was fairly... That's the other thing, is you'd have like you'd have a lot more advice on how to get the car ready for the wet in real life. Going back to the it's not realistic to have auto wipers. Don't get me wrong, sim racing's about realism of the experience, but
Car on the left.
as someone who's driven a race car a few times in his life, I can say the most unrealistic thing of this game is not auto wipers and lights. Alright, so we got Reynolds. Wilk is next on the list. I, for some reason, feel like I don't like Wilk. It's not that he's like spoken or that I can even recall why. It's just like, I don't know, maybe I ran into him in a pub lobby and like things were not good or something. I don't know. Or it's just an irrational hatred of his name or something. I don't know. Martin Amon. There are 17 GT3s and he's in 19th place. So that's about second place. Good for him. Doesn't seem like he's battling with the leader though. I'll brake early. Remember, Martin, we have the Enduro later. I'll repay everything you cost me here when we get there. Be literally these same car combos, but he's racing a GT3 in the Enduro, and I'm in a GT4. So there's Wilk. And ahead of him is the, in theory, GT4 leader, Skull. I say in theory because he's shown in 18th place. That should be the front GT4, but there could be some GT3 who's mixed up in something. Come on, I gotta get clear of Skull. There we go. Alright, so that is Wilk ahead of me. Bershon has disappeared and been replaced on my board by Glixer. So I'm catching Glixer. Catching Wilk. And we did have a 9-second gap to Merchant last I could see him. So everybody should be on wets now. So there shouldn't be any more random place gains. There is Glixer. There is Wilk. And the, in theory, more or less last place GT4 of Callum Ruston. It is kindly letting me through. Thank you. He's ahead of somebody. Look at that tire diagram. It is not happy. It should get more happy as we go, though. We got 20 minutes left, and there is a lot of rain coming down. Not really tempted to mess with the traction control. 6 feels like if I was, it would be to go down, because there's not really any spots where I'm like letting go of the car, or that it's driving me. I'm really not interested in trying to go side by side through the digs. Reynolds is keeping up. He's only 2.5 seconds back. I will have way too much gas at the end, though. I mean, it is what it is. We're suddenly put on a very different, like, fuel schedule, basically. Because we're 10 seconds a lap, potentially more slower than we were, based on what really everyone would have calculated. I don't think it's going to cost me anything, of course, because it's not like the pit stop was longer because I took fuel. And in this wet, I think it's your ability to keep the car under control a bit weird that everyone keeps going here. I think he's just trying to maintain a tow, but I think he's compromising his line into this first corner for no particularly good reason.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Might get a penalty for that. I'll hit Wilk with an apology later. Oh no. Well, he's gonna get the spot back anyways. Reynolds has disappeared on us. That's a shame. Alright. Or Reynolds is ahead of us. Huh? What? How'd that happen? Did he somehow duck ahead of us when me and Wilk had the contact? How? Alright, so that's going to be my thing to look back on, is how the hell did Reynolds get past me? But for now, the goal is to get back past Wilk. Do it cleaner than last time. Although, I don't know. Personally, I think that unless you're under the assumption that the Dunlop curve is just not an overtaking zone, and it's admittedly not a good one. I think that was a reasonable attempt, and that there's room for two cars there, and that he hit me. But that's my take on it, looking at it from inside my car, and in no way from the outside of the car. Like, maybe I'm gonna look at the outside of the car and say, like, there's no way he could have seen me going for that, or something. I was hoping for better today, though. We got Suzuka again tomorrow in the Sunday series, so there's also that unfortunateness. Just a reminder to myself, I need to correct the entry list for that still. I think I'm missing somebody from the entry list still. So if they show up, they gonna get a little slapping. First time off at Spoon. That's actually surprising. "13 minutes to go. The top 10 is still available. It's an 8-second gap to Glixer. That gap is closing. But gotta overtake Wilk and Reynolds and Glixer. That's not an easy task in the wet. Cool down the tires a little bit. There we go. Tires are starting to get better, though, actually. So here's hoping we can, if we get back up to Wilk, that we can dice a little bit more appropriately this time. Got past him once, but it was with a shove at the Dunlop curve, which may net me a penalty. We will see. What is the official status of the track? Wet. I was gonna say though, there is a. I'm gonna stop going down into first gear for that turn. That's how that works. I've had two fuck ups at the hairpin. Crookie's had a bad day. I mean, worse than mine, anyways. Fernandez is also back there. Okay. So I can at least take solace in the fact that there are people having a worse day than me on this track. So Wilk is doing 2:14s by the looks of it. My last lap was in the 2:15s, but there were a couple of mistakes. So I think I am faster than him overall. What's the gap to Glixer? Glixer is now only 5.7 up, so that gap is closed 2 seconds since I last looked. So I think, interestingly enough, of this sort of battle that I can see... Glixer's off! I was gonna say, it seemed like we were kind of in a reverse pace order, which was gonna get interesting, but Glixer off. I went into first gear again, didn't I? Oh boy. Need to be super careful with the hairpin, Mike. Super careful. So Reynolds versus Wilk. Hopefully they can slow each other down. I think I'm a little bit faster than both of them. That's what it feels like. I don't necessarily have a great proof of that. Let's see when we get across the line here. No, never mind. Wilk is faster. Pulled a 213 out of his butt. A couple of people making a second pit stop, which is interesting. I don't know what that would be for. Some blue flag action up ahead. Flack getting bumped out there by... I want to say that was Reynolds.
Yellow flag, be careful there.
And that is Reynolds off the track. Mr. Herbie, who I gave a nudge to last time through the blue flags, I'm going to be kind to him this time. Daniel Merchant has got himself a top 10 off this whole deal. I kind of ruled him out in the dry. But... oh. That was not a great moment. I feel a little hard done by Mr. Herbie there. I mean, I also authorized my own problem there by not getting on the brakes early enough. But it almost felt like I had to drive around Herbie. So I'm not really sure, like, not getting on the brakes made that probably look a lot more dynamic, but it probably actually is what allowed me not to hit him. I think when you're going that slow, like, that was more than the GT3, GT4 difference, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, that was the case. Wilkes found his pace because, if you remember, I kind of cruised up to him before. And now he seems to have found a good pace. As I foolishly go down to first gear. Between me and him, Lexus fallen way back. Reynolds has ended up in the pits. Merchant, Eugenie and company too far ahead. So best case scenario is 10th. Again, feels like I'm faster than Wilk. But every time we've got to compare lap times, that's not been the case. What do you do? Alright, okay, 15-1. Okay, he was doing faster than that before. God, this first turn in this weather. Oh boy. The rest of the track is not actually all that bad. It's really that 130R. And then Spoon's more difficult, but Spoon's been difficult all day. Got at least this lap and the next. Probably a third. But that's just guessing where the leader is. Yeah, I think that'll do it. That'll really do it. Third time screwed up at the hairpin. it's a different screw up at least. And now it's more about, yeah. I think unfortunately the problem is that my setup wasn't very good for the wet. I'll have to remember that for tomorrow's race in case we also get rain, because if we get rain,
Yellow flag in sector 1.
then it's going to be really interesting. I'll be in a Mercedes, so I mean that might impact things slightly, but I don't think fundamentally it'll be all that different. I've made the car too pointy. It's showing in the hairpin. You know, the hairpin was an area in the dry that wasn't a problem, but in the wet, it's become a serious problem. A top 10 was definitely on the cards today, and didn't make it happen. So, 1 to 2 laps to go. Let's see about holding off Mr. Crunky, or Mr. Crooky. Both of us make a hash out of the first corner. Do I want to throw a replay or a stewarding report in on Kelleher for the blue flag? Probably not. And the other contact, I mean, Wilk would be the one to possibly haul me before the stewards for our thing. I did contact the rear of Herbie, but I think it was a non-event, honestly. I'm more just disappointed in myself for on an etiquette level for that one. Like, it was shoving a GT4, like, you know, that's not nice. But nothing really came of it. Alright. Lexus on Lexus, me versus Crookie. We'll have one lap after this to settle it all. One more turn through the hairpin. Wilk is down to 217s. That's just that's a piss off for me. It's like, yeah, you're now like 2 seconds faster than him a lap and nowhere near him. I was gonna say, please don't try to torpedo me at turn 1 in this weather. That would be not a good thing to do. Got a blue flag up ahead. Mr. W. Day. Leader is done. That's Callum Rustin up ahead. So that's a blue flag. Not Wilk throwing it away to give me another shot. Like this is the one area that I think the blue flags have been a little bit deadly on. Is the backstretch up to Spoon. Come on, Crookie! Don't roll point and get past Rustin. Go, Rustin, go. And that will do it.
Car on the right. Clear on the right. Alright, man, rest. Good job. You did the best you could. Take
And normally I do the cooldown lap, but I'm not doing it today. We are getting out of here. Alright, so how did the results go? Baranowski, Badadowski, Anderson, Allswin got up to 4th place. Warren, the other Polish guy, Eugenie, Kenny, me. Interesting. Did people leave? People must have left. Alright, so that kind of ruins that. Hold off Crookie, Glixer, Fernandez, Babadush, Savlini, and then Skull appears to be the GT4 winner from Edmonds and Barker. But that depends if people left or not. So that's that. Because I gained 2 spots because Merchant is gone and Wilk is gone. Oh, there they are. Okay, they returned. So there we go. 11th, Crookie, Glixter, Fernandez, Babaganoush, Savlini, Skull, Edmonds, and Barker. So we'll see you on the Enduro side of things very shortly.